Hi, and welcome to my YouTube channel. My name is Sarah Peternell. I'm the owner of Family Nutrition Services in Denver, Colorado. And today, my topic here for this video is all about brain fog. And boy, for those of us with Hashimoto's, brain fog can happen to the best of us. So I think that if you're like me, and then if you're like a lot of the clients that I work with in my nutrition practice, the idea that brain fog is somehow connected to our thyroid is a little bit of a misconception. It's a little bit of a misunderstood phenomenon. And a lot of people realize when they actually start working on their thyroid and they start feeling better, they actually realize that their brain fog goes away and that it was actually related to their thyroid all along. So the first thing I want you to know if you're watching this video and you have some brain fog and you have Hashimoto's is that you are normal and you are okay. The other thing is that your provider, your physician, may not draw the connection between this particular symptom and your Hashimoto's either. And that's unfortunate because a lot of times, like especially if you're taking a medication, your doctor might say, well, we can change your medication dose. We can, maybe play around with adding in some T3. We can try to figure this out. What they don't realize is it's kind of like they're just trying to pour more water into the bucket, but they're not worrying about fixing the holes. So it's these holes in your gut, in your immune system, in your kind of total systemic health, whether it's because of toxins or whether it's because of deficiencies or whether it's because you have food intolerances or because maybe you have kind of a chronic infection, right? These holes, these triggers or these causative factors that lead to autoimmunity and lead to Hashimoto's need to be addressed in order for us to resolve symptoms and especially in order for us to resolve brain fog because there is a very distinct connection between your brain and your gut and your total systemic health. Okay, so I just want you to know that if you just can't quite put your finger on it and you can't explain this to your doctor and they don't understand what you're talking about, that's okay too. So I'm glad you found this video. I want to talk about really what is brain fog, first of all. If you're sitting here and you have brain fog, you're probably thinking like, yeah, I kind of know what brain fog is. I can't think clearly. I can't make decisions. I don't feel motivated. I don't have maybe the same kind of passion for life or the same type of concentration in my work that I used to have. Brain fog is all of those things. Brain fog is kind of like just living in a brain that you can't make work the way that you know that it can work or the way that you want it to work. Brain fog feels like a heavy weight around your brain and around your cognition, your memory, and even your mood. And for people who are suffering with Hashimoto's and for people who have brain fog, this can be one of the most debilitating symptoms. I don't care if you've gained 40 pounds, if your skin is dry, your hair is falling out, if your gut hurts, if you're having foggy thinking and you're struggling with this symptom, it can actually be one of the very worst symptoms of Hashimoto's. So brain fog is all of those things. It's all of those memory, mood, cognition, and the comfort that we expect and experience in our brain when things are working right. We all know what that feels like, right? When we're just on. We want that all the time. But when you're suffering with Hashimoto's, you are going to have good days and bad days. And when the brain fog, kind of creeps in, it's kind of like a rainy day in Seattle. And my brother lived there for a long time. And it's like, they're in for the long haul on some of those days. So I know what that's like. So what I want to also talk about is how do you really even know if what you have is brain fog or it's something else? And that sounds kind of silly, right? Because the symptoms I just described about brain fog are all of those cognitive issues, all of those mood, sleep, behavior, concentration, processing, all of that. Okay, and so to know if you have it, sometimes you might actually be so foggy you don't actually know if what you're experiencing is just the way you are or if it's actually a symptom of your Hashimoto's. So if you don't feel like yourself, if you feel fuzzy, if you feel excuse me, if you feel fuzzy and you feel tired in your brain and in your thinking, and you know that that's not normal for you, you're experiencing brain fog. And I'm having some tea. All right, so you discovered that you have brain fog. You know you've been suffering with this for a period of time now, and you want to know how to get rid of it. Well, I want you to know that having brain fog is actually a symptom of something going on, again, in your total body health, and more than likely, it probably has to do with the overburden of your liver, okay? So to overcome brain fog and restore your normal mental clarity that we all want, we all desire, and we all deserve, you need to start doing some detox, okay? So if you've been following my channel for a while, if you've been reading my blog posts, if you're following me on Instagram, you know that I talk about detox almost as much as I talk about Hashimoto's, because the two go hand in hand. So one of the surefire ways to address brain fog head on is to start paying attention to the toxins in your life, okay? There's a couple things that happen when we experience kind of an overburden or an overabundance of toxins that our body and our liver can't process or can't handle. They're going to get stored. They're going to get stored in a couple of different places. The first place is that your thyroid is like a giant toxin magnet. And so if you are toxic and your thyroid is taking on those toxins, well, that's going to slow down your production of T4, your conversion of T4 to T3. It's probably ramping up antibodies against your thyroid, and it's causing an onslaught of other Hashimoto symptoms, not to mention the brain fog. So that's the first thing. The second thing is that when you're toxic, guess what else is another giant magnet for toxins? Your body fat. And when I am talking about body fat, I'm not talking about the necessary, healthful, normal, happy fat on our bodies. I'm talking about the stubborn, annoying fat that tends to live around our middles and maybe on our rear ends and our thighs. This type of fat, these fat cells get bigger and they become more plentiful in order to absorb toxins out of the bloodstream and act like a buffer and kind of keep those toxins from circulating in the bloodstream and eventually going to the brain. And the third place where toxins often go when you have too many of them in your body and your liver is not processing them very carefully or very well is actually your brain. Think about that for just a second. So the toxins that are in your body may actually be collecting and hanging out in your brain. Well, this is a problem, right? So we need to figure out, first of all, what are the toxins that are maybe in your life? Pay attention. What's in your home? What are you cleaning with? What types of textiles, maybe paint, other chemical fumes? What kinds of things are you living in? Is it maybe possibly even exposure to mold, dust, pet dander? There can be actual allergen toxins that may be overloading your system, in addition to the chemical toxins that are overloading your system. So starting with what you're cleaning with in your home is one of the very first things, because you may notice day in and day out that when your brain fog feels better is when you leave your home. And so a lot of times, if you're especially using things like chlorine bleach, if you're using high chemical cleaners, toilet cleaners, bathroom cleaners, especially window cleaners, those tend to be some of the most toxic. And I would like for you to consider some alternatives for cleaning out your cleaning cabinet, basically, and getting rid of some of those things and see if that takes down some of the toxic exposure in your life. Another thing to think about very carefully is what you're putting on your skin. I am a huge believer, obviously, in that our skin is just another gigantic liver that we wear on the outside of our bodies. And when our liver is tired and run down and maybe a little bit, overburdened with toxins, our skin also really becomes it can become overburdened by everything that it is exposed to in the environment. And that includes skincare products and makeup and any of the beauty products that are in your regimen. We know that on average, the CDC on their website reports that on average, adults get exposed to somewhere around 9 pounds of toxins every single year. Now, obviously, all of these do not accumulate in your body. Your body has ways of processing them and getting rid of them, but many of them do accumulate. Many of them do have very long half-lives in the body. And so, especially with beauty care products, we know that there are endocrine disrupting chemicals, there are cancer causing agents and chemicals. There are a host of different types of toxins that would be banned in other developed countries, but we have been able to, in this country, have been able to be approved by the FDA. And so I encourage you to take a look at what types of, maybe your favorite skincare products are and what the ingredients are. And you can go to a website called ewg.org and check out that website and type in on their Skin Deep database on ewg.org. That's the environmental working group. Go there, type in your favorite products, and it will give you a rating about how toxic they are. And that can help you make some of the decisions about how to scale back, get rid of some of those things. And maybe there's one or two that you just can't live without, but even that is still incredibly of a much lighter load than maybe what you're getting exposed to now. So thinking about your environment, thinking about what is on your skin, or what you're putting on your skin, those two things can be a great help. Obviously, there are things maybe in your diet, for example. Are you consuming produce that has like waxy chemical pesticides? When you bring apples home from the grocery store and you have to kind of clean off that outer coating before you can cut it open or bite into it, those chemicals certainly also are the persistent kind that we don't want anywhere near our bodies. What is your lettuce sprayed with? What are your most favorite fruits and vegetables that are right here, maybe in your own home, in your own refrigerator, covered with, that could potentially be causing you to be carrying an extra toxic burden or an extra toxic load that your body, your thyroid, and your brain can no longer deal with, okay? Also, think really carefully about your meats. It's really important to pay attention to where your meat comes from. I always say, we're not only what we eat, but what we eat eats. And so if you're an omnivore and you eat animal protein, please pay attention. Has this animal been treated with maybe any growth hormones, maybe any antibiotics? Is it eating a healthful diet? Is it a confined animal eating primarily a GMO grain diet? Those types of meats tend to be more loaded with hormones and stress hormones, and those in turn into hormone metabolites in our own body that also are toxic to us. So there's a lot to think about when you're actually thinking about and planning for cutting down on the exposure of toxins in your life and in your world. So there are lots of different things. You can watch some of my other videos that I actually have on my YouTube channel about daily detox, detox for Hashimoto's in particular. But when it comes to brain fog, I want you to be thinking about the chemicals in your world and thinking about the chemicals that you're exposed to. That will be a great start for you. So check out those other two videos that I have here on my YouTube channel. I hope this starts to make sense and kind of paint the picture about how important it is to be thinking about detoxification as a remedy for so many of the Hashimoto's symptoms that you may be experiencing on an ongoing basis. I really appreciate that you're watching my channel, and if this information might be helpful for someone that you know, please share it with them. Please forward these videos, post them on your Facebook page, share them with maybe people in your Facebook groups if you're in a Hashimoto's group. Tell your doctor about these videos. Hopefully this information can be helpful to a lot of people. Set your notifications if you're subscribed to my channel so you get my new video every Tuesday. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you really soon.